I think it comes down to the question of, at what point does keeping the peace, like saying yes even when you don't want to, become self-abandonment? Because like you said, if you do it for other people, even though you don't want to go, you're putting your own needs aside and you're going to go, you're going to sit there and you're going to start to resent that person. You're going to be pissed off. And then you're going to be like, wait a minute, this is not me. I don't need to be here. I don't need to be getting angry. I feel like setting up those boundaries is not really any sort of avoidance of that person. It's just making sure that you're putting yourself first. You don't have to lose yourself to keep someone, and you don't have to lose someone to keep your integrity either. You can still say no, because those are the relationships that are going to survive in this climate.
You say no to someone and they disrespect you or call you out, that's not the relationship for you. I think what Emma's saying is, if you tell someone no and you leave, or you make the decision for yourself, whatever that is, and you're still friends the next day with no judgment, guilt, or anything put on you, those are the friends that you want. Those are the ones that fuel you and not deplete you.
I feel like when you were saying if they don't respect when you say no, it just made me think that if a relationship can't survive a simple conversation like that, how is it going to survive going forward? That just shows that it was surviving on your silence by you not saying anything, because it's not sustainable.
Welcome to I Am Her. We're all about glitter, grit, and grace. This is The Shift, where spiritual meets spicy, F-bombs meet forgiveness, and shadow work occasionally throws glitter.
Welcome, everyone, to I Am Her, Season 2, episode number 5.
Oh, I was wrong.
Episode number 5. Yay!
4 definitely was. Maybe I said 4 because I wasn't actually physically here for episode 4.
Right.
Or I was physically, but not mentally.
She was a little under the weather on the last episode, if y'all couldn't tell. I think she put on a brave face and she did a good job. So, for that...
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely was a challenge. And I think that I did the best that I could. And I just couldn't fathom us doing an episode with no us,
Yeah.
So I'm glad I stuck it out, though. I feel I'm at about like 75% physically, but mentally I'm like here. So this is good. And I'm ready to rock and roll. So
yay.
What are we talking about today, Em?
Oh, wait a second. Oh, I'm Emmy.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Thylene.
Thyleen's the sick one, not me.
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, how are you? You're feeling good right now? Feeling much better?
I am. I mean, I'm sure anybody who watches the last episode and watches this one can tell. I could tell because whenever you introduce our episode, I'm always like, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm always like holding up 2 fingers or 5 fingers or whatever. I'm very like involved and excited. The last episode, I watched it back today because you posted it. And I literally could barely even get a smile as you were announcing like what episode we were on and introducing our guest. And I was like, literally, and your self-talk, like, you got this, you're a beast, like, just keep on going. And then I had to keep reminding myself to smile, because I think if I didn't smile, you would just see the sick on my face. So, but I'm excited to be as back as I am, and I'm still recovering, but just excited to have a little bit more of my personality back.
Yay. Okay, well, I got this new microphone arm. So I am actually sitting
I didn't even notice that.
All the way back in my chair, because before I just had this is a 34-inch. The standard ones are like 25 or 26. And so I'd have to sit up to get to it. But now I'm living the dream, man.
I just realized how fantastic you sound. Have we fixed our sounds yet?
Have we fixed our sounds? No, because you said you were going to buy a thingy.
Okay, I have one, and I did find it. So here's what happened. See, what happened was I
You
set
spilled
up.
the apple cider vinegar? Spilled?
Well, yeah, that was yes, we did talk about that last season. Yeah, I mean, that's all cleaned up. I literally went out, I set everything up. It looks fantastic. But I forgot to buy a space heater and it was snowing just like 6 hours ago, a little bit.
Same
And that's
here.
cold, Well, I know for you, it's not a big deal. For me, like, that's a lot. And so the garage, I can sit out there for like an hour and then I'm just spent. I'm so cold. I'm a frozen little popsicle. I gotta take my buns inside and warm up. But it's looking really good out there. I just have to acquire a space heater. So for now, I'm just on my laptop with my headphones out here, which I might bring the mic in for the next episode just because obviously the sound quality is much better. Yeah, I'm still kind of in between. So I will take pictures and post them when we post this video so you guys can see how it's coming along. It looks really good. But I did notice when I had my camera up on my monitor, it's got a really wide back. And I put curtains up, kind of like M has them on the back, and they look so good. So it looks really good, but it's really wide. So I have my curtains back like you have them, M, and it's the garage, right? So it has like it's not a painted wall. You know what I'm talking about? It's just the board, and then it's got like the white plaster stuff that you put on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's ugly. It's ugly. And so I have this really cute like background, and then on the corners in my camera you can still see the ugly. But I have a really cute chair. I mean, I'm excited. I'll take pictures and post it. I'll stop talking about it. I clearly am very excited about it, but I need heat and I need to figure out the edges and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'm going to make this space cuter in a couple months.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
So,
I'm excited for you.
Do you have a card for us tonight or no?
Yeah.
If not, that's okay.
I mean, I can't. I feel good enough to. If you want to do a little cut situation, because I know where they are.
Well, while you're doing that, you know what time it is.
Okay, you do that.
Croy, and this is strawberry peach fuzzy water. 0 calorie, 0 sweetener, 0 sodium equals innocent.
I cannot.
And the best part, yummy.
Actually, that sounds really yummy. I don't think I've had a strawberry peach from that.
I had not either, and I needed to refill my stash, and we went to Wally Mart, and I found this. So now it's time for Tarot Time with Thylene.
Okay.
Take it away.
My favorite. Okay. So I actually haven't, especially with being sick and the move, and then we've been traveling a lot, I haven't touched my cards in a while. So I'm super stoked to talk about this. 2 cards came out. We have our Strength and our Page of Swords upside down. For those of you listening and don't have the visual, if you want to pop over to our YouTube and check out the cards, please do so. I invite you to do so. It's definitely helpful to have a visual. Now, we're going into the year of the fire horse, right? And it is a time of absolute power. We are shifting into coming into ourselves. All of 2025, which we thought was going to be one way, was actually another way. And the real life, right, people? So those of you that can't see, my daughter is just making debut after debut with bunny faces behind me. So you're welcome. Now we're going into this new phase with the fire horse, and what I'm seeing right now is a little bit of self-doubt, right? These cards are upside down. So we're a little bit scatterbrained. We're a little bit we're not planning very well because everything is just so in your face right now. And the changes just seem so kind of overwhelming. So what you need to do is take a deep breath, take a step back and know that this is normal with change, to have a little bit of fear and to have a little less patience, right? These are all normal things. So don't be afraid that you're falling into patterns from the past, because you're not, right? You're a different person now. You've done the work. It's okay that these feelings of fear and maybe a little unknowing, right? You're just feeling so overwhelmed. It's okay. This start is going to be like a little bit bumpy because it's unfamiliar. It's supposed to feel that way. If you didn't feel that way, this would be a different conversation. I would be a little bit worried for you if you didn't have these questions and uncomfortable feelings. So know that you still are on the right path. You're doing the right thing. I think as a collective, we just have to stay strong throughout this start. And I think in a couple weeks, it's going to even out and we'll have a little bit more bearing. We'll have a little bit more of a plan as far as the alignment, right? We don't want to plan things out and narrow our sight. We want to stay very open, but we want to feel a little less like we just stuck our head out of the train and we're taking in all of that air going 100 miles an hour, right? So
Like the dog when they're putting their head out the window and all the hair goes back.
Exactly. I mean, if you feel that way right now, it's okay. It's supposed to feel that way. Just keep hanging on. I have an affirmation for you. I embrace my unique perspective and I have the inner strength to overcome challenges. These two affirmations are going to be pivotal in the next 2 weeks as we step into, on Friday, this fire horse. Just keep going. Don't give up, right? You never have before. Don't start now. All right. That is what I have for you today. I'm so glad that I got to pull cards. We have a lot of guests happening, and when we have guests, we really like to focus on them, and so we pull away from like our normal stuff. And so it just feels really good to get back to touching my cards and diving into that energy. So hope it helps.
Yay. Hey, guess what?
What?
Actually, today is the first day of the fire horse.
I think it's Friday.
February 17th.
Oh, it is the 17th, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was Friday.
Because you lost time when you were sick.
That could be it. Honestly,
my best guess. I don't know.
I mean, when you spend 8 days in bed, like, you probably do lose some time and thoughts and a little bit of life.
You might be thinking of our last episode when Alyssa referred to February 20th, because that's when she is releasing her the Infinity Freedom. And
maybe
February 20th.
Actually, I think that is it.
Was pivotal. Yeah.
That's what we were talking about on our last episode. So that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, today let's get to not the guts, not the meat, the pulse.
Pulse.
The pulse of the episode.
Someday we'll get there.
So the topic tonight was actually something that Thylene and I were both thinking about before we even got on Zoom together, because we told you before that sometimes we just go with it and we just choose what we feel in the moment. And we were both thinking about this. So it's going to talk about authentic relationships, especially in the world today when everything and everyone can get so triggered. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So,
Senorita.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot happening right now and everybody can feel it. Conversations feel much heavier. People are tiptoeing in some regard more than they should, or more than they need to, and then other situations they're not. They're not.
Like they're too quick to judge, and
Yes, they're too quick to judge. They're too quick to throw their opinion out without understanding, that there is two sides. So we're not here to talk about, definitely don't want to get into the political thing or anything like that. Not talking about sides, but it's more just about relationships, because relationships are getting tested because the world is loud right now. So,
and divided.
Very much divided on many things. And I feel like, me personally, that pressure in these relationships doesn't necessarily destroy the relationship, but it really reveals the ones that are authentic and the ones that kind of need to be either reevaluated or just let go. So,
yeah.
And here at I Am Her, the podcast, we're very pro throwing glitter on the shit, but that doesn't mean pretending that the shit isn't there, because it is there. And that's why we need to bring it up and we need to address it, because if we were both thinking it before we even hopped on, and we haven't talked for a lot per se over the last week because you've been sick, if we're thinking it, then other people are thinking it too. So I think it's important to really talk about this.
So for me, where I go relationship wise I don't go directly to friends. I immediately go to romantic, and this is where I think that we are really good together, because you have the perspective of a very long, successful marriage. And I have a failed marriage, and then on being on the other side of that. And so my mind directly goes to like people that are pursuing me, and or just the thought of what could be. And right now, I think where I'm at on the single side, I wouldn't say I'm dating by any means. Like, I'm just very focused on myself and raising my family, and, whatever happens, happens. But I think that there's not fear. I think that it's just fed upness. Like, if I was going to name it, I don't have a lot of time, and I don't think a lot of people do right now. I don't think I'm the only one. I think we're all very busy. I think we all have a lot going on, as well as there's a lot going on in the world. And I don't really think that it's a no bullshit rule, to be honest, where I'm at right now. And I feel like I'm in good company, right, with the people that watch our podcast or listen to it, because I just feel like, as a whole, ain't nobody got time for that. And so many people are so caught up in like these little details. And I think the gap is so big between the people that are caught in the little details and the people that have kind of grown and evolved and moved past that. That gap is so big that you almost just don't even, frequency wise, like energetically, align with a whole lot of people anymore. And I was actually non-romantically just thinking how little friends I have. I know a lot of people. I'm acquainted. I've networked for many years in the city that I live in. There's not a lack of people that I can be around, but there's a lack of desire to be around people. Is this like ringing any bells for you? Because romantically dating, I'm like, no, hell no, absolutely not. And then like when it comes to friends, I just don't, I enjoy more the time that I have to myself, that I spend on my own, than putting myself out and doing something that I don't have patience for or care about.
Yeah, I tend to come at it with the frame of, like you, I know a lot of people, but my circle is so small because maybe the word is judge. Maybe it is. And if it is, then that's not in a bad way, but I tend to judge people based
I'd say
on
that's accurate about you.
based on their place in my life. If they have purpose in my life, or if their existence in my circle is going to help me progress, then I would love to have you. But if you're going to be an energy sucker and just be a Debbie Downer, I just can't have you. So I'm very selective of the people that I do surround myself with. And I guess I do. I judge it based on what they can bring into my life. And call it selfish if you want, but that's just where I'm at. Because I've been through the shit, I'm 2 years shy of 50. I don't have the time for this anymore, and I've experienced enough to know what I don't want to experience again. And
Yeah.
I think that everybody feels like they need to have so many people. We've talked about this before too. I would rather have 2 real friends than be surrounded by 20 people that I'm just acquainted with. That's just where I'm at. I'm happy with my small circle. I don't need a shit ton of people.
Well, and then think about what you're inviting, right? And for me, this is such an interesting topic because whenever I left the house, I was 17, right? Like when I pretty much moved out of my mom's house because I don't like authority and can't nobody tell me what to do. I craved attention in many different ways throughout my life. It was the outside validation. I felt comfortable and happy when other people were comfortable and happy. And I had the energy and time to put into other people. And so over the years, I put so much time and energy into other people that when it came to my breakdown, what I call it, in my mid 30s, I didn't have anything left for myself. I didn't realize what I was giving away until it was completely depleted. If I had not done that, I wouldn't have learned the lessons and I wouldn't be where I am today. So I wouldn't change it. But the reason I bring this up is because I have been on, Alyssa and I talk about this a lot. I'm an all or nothing type person. And I'm really trying to work on the in between. I'm really trying to find the balance because I'm all in, but too much of anything can be damaging. It doesn't have to just be like if you were to smoke cigarettes or do drugs or drink alcohol, right? It doesn't even have to be stuff like that. It could be you watch too much Netflix or you doom scroll too much. Too much of anything that you have, even if it's something that can be good for you, you do too much of it, it can be harmful, right? So finding the balance is so important for people, but it took me till my late 30s to figure that out. And now that I've found somewhat of a balance, let me tell you how intensely I will defend that, right? I will not sacrifice my time, energy, peace, children, lifestyle. That you are hard pressed to find something that I would give up these days to make someone else happy before myself. And before, it was the complete opposite. Everything I did, everything I put my energy into, I would even say my gymnastics career. was to make other people happy, or because I wanted them to think I was successful. And I hope that people can listen to this and understand, or at least recognize, acknowledge that piece in them that exists, because we all do it in some form or fashion. And we do it unintentionally. And a lot of times it takes a break, a mental breakdown. You get sick and you're in the hospital and you fear for your life. Something that shakes or rocks your life for you to realize that these traits even exist. So how amazing would it be if we had something like a podcast where we fucking talk about it and we recognize these traits early enough to say, oh, look at what I've learned, and avoid the brokenness or avoid that big thing that rocks you, because you're able to take a step back and find balance a little bit sooner. So that transition from A to B is a little less rocky, right? Recognizing the things within you that are out of balance, and for everyone that looks different. For me, it was like my divorce. It was the things that went on with my 16-year-old. It was his mental health issues. It was me getting sick. I feel like life was telling me, look, here's where you balance, and I just couldn't get it. I'm one of those ones that had to learn the lesson a few times. I had to be drugged through the mud quite a few times before I started realizing where the problem actually was, because my ego wouldn't allow me to understand that. And I think that that is where a lot of us get stuck, is our ego, our pride. And that prevents us from relationship, or dare I say, the right kind of relationship, because we're human beings. As a rule, we crave companionship, no matter what that relationship looks like. Maybe you had a kid because you were lonely. Maybe you have an addiction to a person, a boyfriend or a husband who is unhealthy for you. I used to thrive in chaos. No longer can I do that. Can anybody else relate to that? Like, anybody else is just like, I used to crave chaos. I did really well. And now I can manage chaos really well when it happens, but I know how to balance myself and what kind of relationships that I actually want to invite into my life in order to hold that balance. So there's a difference between kind of what's happening in the world right now and how far you are on your healing journey and what you'll accept and the boundaries that you set. So, Em, if you want to unpack some of that and maybe some of the things that stuck out to you, maybe pull them out and give from your perspective, because obviously you're married and you've had a lot of different kind of relationships. And where I was out craving like these connections, the way that I explained them, I feel like you were actually kind of thrown into a big connect. You grew up in a connect that you had to disconnect from. So just a different perspective.
Yeah, some of it is similar though, because I too, 17, I got married when I was 17 because I knew it all. Nobody could convince me otherwise. And although my marriage now has lasted 21 years, I was married twice before. Those were not successful. So we all have things, and we all go through situations that teach us. But I too was the type, and I didn't realize it until later, that I did need that outside validation. Even though I liked to be alone, I still looked for the relationships that I felt were going to give me the validation I needed. And I feel like that is why I got married so young, because I didn't have the best relationship with my father growing up. And so I feel like I was looking for that validation outside of the relationship that I had with my dad. And so, yeah, I also gave a lot, to the point where I was giving money, not only time, but I was giving money. I was giving everything I had, to the point where those people's problems that I wanted to help, because I was a fixer. And so I would seek out, not more subconsciously, I was seeking out the people that needed my help, because I needed to fix them, because I was broken, but I didn't realize that at the time, that I wanted to fix them because of what was broken inside of me. And I was giving my time. I was taking on their problems as my own. I was giving my money, and it was just exhausting, to where, there were times, even in early in our marriage, that it could have ended, because my time was so focused not on our relationship, but it was helping other people. Granted, it came from a place of love, but I didn't realize it until I stepped back, that it was taking way more from me than it was giving to me. And like you said, I was in a situation to where I was in, like, my whole life, my religious upbringing, I was in a situation to where, I had to be around all these people. And I don't know if that's part of why I love to be alone so much ever since I was little, because, when I would go to church, or, go to these activities, which I loved when I was younger, but I felt like I had to do it. And so as I got older, I started to realize that, and older, when I say older, I mean in the last year or two, I had to
You're all grown up.
yeah,
This
that's
last
when
year too.
I bought some big girl pants. I had to separate myself from that person, because I would still find myself wanting to fix people. And I think a lot of that also came from the fact that I I felt so broken for so long, but I couldn't really talk about it, especially around my kids, because I hid what broke me from them, to give them as much of a sense of normalcy as I could, even though they were experiencing the same situation, but from their own perspective. And so there wasn't really anybody I could talk to about it. And so I would fix people. That was what I wanted to do, was fix people, because I couldn't fix myself. And so even now, there have been situations, even recently, where I've wanted to try to fix people and it hasn't worked. But I'm getting better now at just saying, okay, that's your choice. That's your life. It's not mine. You have to live with it. I don't. I did the best I could. I was your friend. I reached out. You pushed me away. That's on you, not me. Those are the types of relationships that I can't take with me anymore, because those are also the type of people that know that they can count on me, but that they're only going to be there when they need me. And that I don't have time for those relationships either. I have time, and I have space, and I have energy for the relationships with the people that I know in my heart and in my core, that are there for a reason, and that are going to love me and accept me even at my worst, and they're not just going to disappear if I'm having a bad day.
I think it's so funny on that specific thing. I always say all the time these days, I'm like, I have no friends. And I mean, it couldn't be furthest from the truth. I have so many really good friends, but the friends that I have are those type of friends that don't leave. They're unconditional. And the type of relationship that we have is, we know that life gets busy, and when time aligns, we come together. And when it doesn't align, we do our own thing, and we love each other from afar, right? I have 20-year relationships that are like that. So it's not that I don't have any friends. I have great friends. I have people that love me, right? But I don't have the everyday type support. And I think that The reason I don't have that right now is because when you're not clear, you can't have. And I'm not 100% clear on what that looks like for me. It used to look like I could just walk into your house, you could just walk into my house. We live like 10 minutes away. We share everything, we vomit everything on each other. And that's the type of relationship that it was. But now I'm a lot more private. I don't want people just walking in my house, whereas I used to not care at all. And so I think I haven't gotten clear on what that close, everyday type potential relationship would look like. So I don't have it. And I would love to have more friends like you're one of those friends that are, whenever we align, we talk, which for us, because we have projects together, is a lot more often than some of my other friends that I've had for 20, 25 years, 30 years. But I just feel like there's more for me that I now am kind of getting more clear on this year. But what does that look like? What do I want out of it? Because if I'm not clear, then there's probably 10, 15 people a day when I'm out and about that I can run into that would be perfect. But because I don't know what I'm looking for, they pass me by. So, but I think it's important to stay, because I can be really dramatic. Like, I have no friends. I'm alone 24/7. Blah, blah, blah. I'm so lonely. And yes, it is lonely. When you heal, I am not going to sugarcoat. It is lonely. It can be very hard. But it's not always like that. It really isn't. It's not always pain and misery and working on the things that make you tick, right? It's also opening yourself up to new things and new people. And I think that that's where I'm at right now. I'm taking applications for friends. So if you're listening to this, feel free to email me on any of our platforms, especially if you're in the Olympia Lacey area. I definitely am looking for more like local support and friendship, but I value different things now. And so I think that it's important to recognize relationships in all forms and where they stand, where they are. And, Em and Alyssa and I, our little trio, sometimes for months and months, we talk all day, every day in our chat. And sometimes we go a couple months and we talk once or twice. It just depends on where we're at, what we're doing, what projects we have going. And so I don't want people to think that it only looks one type of way. You can have intertwined, like at the same time, like Alyssa and I can have one of our really on 3 months, and I can also have those relationships, those friendships, or start dating or whatever that looks like, and have those relationships at the same time. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, don't limit yourself. Don't, in the same way that we try to manifest abundance in money or, whatever projects that you're working on, you also have to stay open and allow the flow of relationships to come in and just see where they go,
Yeah.
But if someone annoys you, if it's not aligning, you also have to have those boundaries to say, okay, well, I tried. Like kind of how Em's saying, like, I did my best for this relationship. I put my best foot forward, and now it's draining me. Bye-bye.
Yep. And I think right now people are much more reactive and everybody feels like they have to take a stance on something. And I just don't feel like that's true. I don't feel like you have to have a side one way or the other. And if you do, an authentic relationship, you have the ability to disagree. You have the ability to listen. You have the ability to say, well, I don't see it that way, then that's okay. I mean, you and I have had conversations like, okay, I don't see it that way, but we still love each other because it's not a make or break situation, And I just think that, and not everybody has the capacity for like high level conversations when they're
That's a good point to point
feeling
out.
dysregulated,
Yeah.
And even when they're not dysregulated, they just don't have the capacity for the higher level conversations, I feel like some of y'all just need to take a break and just go have some snacks before you try to save somebody, Snacks. And yeah, I just think it's important to point out, these things, because right now in the world, things are breaking up relationships,
Things are tense.
They're very tense. And I think it's also, it's a sign of maturity in a relationship to me is how you handle the disagreement. It's not necessarily the disagreement itself. And it's you're not losing relationships because you disagree with somebody. You're losing them because of that maturity gap. And I think it's really important to also understand that when you start to realize that you're holding back your opinions to keep the peace and you're not expressing your growth and you're kind of silencing yourself when you go in certain rooms, I think you need to really reevaluate. Are you at peace with yourself?
And thinking personally, going internal and thinking about, even now, actually, I do find myself almost more now than before uncomfortable in social situations, which is wild because I used to want any situation where people were around. It was like I was siphoning off other people. So now and it's so funny because we say like get uncomfortable and that's where you learn and grow, which is so true, but also like healthy boundaries, right? Whenever I go out and I feel uncomfortable, the first question I ask myself is this me? Is this something that I haven't addressed? Is this is this a problem? And I ask, where is it coming from? Where am I feeling it in my body? Do I have a headache? Am I questioning the people around me, or am I questioning myself around these people? I will ask my questions to ad nauseum, which maybe, I don't know, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. I ask myself a ton of questions because I want to know why and where it comes from. I want to know if my wounded child is acting up because someone's energy, maybe someone is, I think is prettier than me, and I'm like, wait, I don't care about that anymore. you know, I do what I do for me, and that's it. And you take it or leave it. And so I do think that when I go in social situations, I call them flare ups, social flare ups. Like I can have these flare ups where I kind of feel energetically like I'm falling into an old pattern or an old feeling. And I just ask the questions. And if I ask the questions and if I decide from the questions that I ask that I'm in an unhealthy situation or it doesn't align with me anymore, I leave. I fucking leave. Or I say no. Maybe the feelings come up. Like I had someone ask me to go to a bar with them the other day. And at first I was like, I haven't been out of the house for a long time. Like I could totally go. And I'm like, ew, Why? What? No, I don't want to go. Absolutely not. Not to say that I wouldn't go to a bar at some point. I'm just saying that these are the types of things like I would have said yes to that whether I wanted to go or not before because I would think that I'm putting myself in a situation where I'm making someone else happy or I'm doing it for a friend for whatever reason. If it's not for me and something that I want to do, I no longer say yes. It's that simple.
Well, I think it comes down to the question of, at what point does keeping the peace, like saying yes even when you don't want to, become self-abandonment? Because like you said, if you do it for other people, even though you don't want to go, you're putting your own needs aside and you're going to go, you're going to sit there and you're going to start to resent that person. You're going to be pissed off. And then you're going to be like, wait a minute, this is not me. I don't need to be here. I don't need to be getting angry. I feel like setting up those boundaries is not really any sort of avoidance of that person. It's just making sure that you're putting yourself first. The disengagement, I feel like when you disengage from situations you don't want to be in, that's a sign of maturity and it's a sign of growth because you're seeing the situations that you don't want to be in,
I
just
agree.
because somebody tags you in a thing on Facebook or some invites you to something, you're not required to RSVP. If you don't even feel comfortable saying no, I don't want to go, don't even answer. If that makes you feel anxious, don't even respond. Don't feel like you owe them anything. You only owe it to yourself.
Agreed. And guess what? You don't get that time back. It's your time. It's for you. And if you're the other side of that, if you're willing to sacrifice the time and you decide that regardless, I think of it like this. If I'm going to loan someone money, it's not a loan. I say, okay, here, and then if you give it back, great. If not, it's a gift when I give it. I do my time in that way as well. So that way there's no resentment, right? What you were talking about, you resent the time, you resent the person, but like all these things come up. Guess when that doesn't happen? When you decide, okay, let's say that I did end up going to that bar and I resigned myself to it. The only way I would have gone was if I was giving that time in the form of a gift. I know what I'm putting into it, and if it changes and it becomes anything more, I'm out. But I'm willing to give this much time, this much effort to said thing, and you decide, and then you let it go. You can decide different, right? When you're there and make changes always. You can always adjust. But if you start getting resentful and you stay, that's on you. That's not on the other person. That is a you choice and a you thing. You didn't ask yourself enough questions. You said yes to something that you didn't want to. That's not their fault. It has nothing to do with them. You said yes. So these are just different things to think about. It could be literally anything. It could be, I was about to say, it could be saying yes to going to Oaks Park, but I realized that that's like a Portland thing and not everybody knows what that is. It's an amusement park. Actually, that recently it did go a little bit famous because people got stuck on a ride upside down for like a certain amount of time and they were like throwing up and it went like the video went viral or whatever. But my point is, make a decision and then let go and then adjust as need be. But to sit and be resentful or angry or what's the point? Right?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand too that I just thought of this while you were talking. You don't have to lose yourself to keep someone. And what I mean by that is those friendships that, like you were talking about going to the bar, and it could be any situation. That's just the one that you brought up. You don't have to lose yourself to keep someone, and you don't have to lose someone to keep your integrity either. You can still say no, because those are the relationships that are going to survive in this climate. They can hold the tension.
You say no to someone and they disrespect you or call you out your name or, or, that's not the relationship for you. I think what Emma's saying is if you tell someone no and you leave or you make the decision for yourself, whatever that is, and you're still friends the next day with no judgment, guilt, or anything put on you, those are the friends that you want. Those are the ones that fuel you and not deplete you.
I feel like when you were saying if they don't respect when you say no, it just made me think that if a relationship can't survive a simple conversation like that, how is it going to survive going forward? That just shows that it was surviving on your silence by you not saying anything, because and relationships just can't, that's just not,
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So
agreed. I agree 100%. And especially friendships are one thing, but especially romantically, especially with like a partner that you live with. I can't say this enough. What did you say, Em? Surviving on silence? Is that what you said?
Yeah, if a relationship isn't going to survive a simple conversation, it just shows that it was surviving on your silence.
Yes. That is insane. Because when I think of my marriage as a whole, people were like, why are you divorced? You didn't even argue. Exactly. Exactly my point. Are you not getting, what are you not getting? Exactly what you just said. It's exactly that. But I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that my relationship was surviving on my silence. I didn't realize that I was abandoning myself and my needs and wants and morals and all things for the bigger picture that wasn't even happening. I wasn't even getting the full potential of what that relationship was. So what was I sacrificing for? Why?
Yeah, it's just something that I learned really early on when I was newly divorced from my first husband and the shit started to hit the fan, that I had to survive on the silence because there was no conversations to be had. And it was an uncomfortable silence, even though there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of, shit that was going on. But the reason that it was going the way it was going was because I stayed silent because I had to. And it's not a fun place to be. It's not a comfortable place to be for anyone to feel like they have to stay silent. So I think the shift for this particular topic is moving from how do I keep this relationship to how do I keep myself inside this relationship without it turning into something toxic for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I always say the two people that tell the absolute honest truth are kids and drunk people. And whenever I got to like the end stages of my relationship, my marriage, the only time I spoke up for myself is when I was drunk. I was doing things that weren't me. They were band-aids, right? The silence wasn't working for me anymore. And I didn't quite know how to, or if it was okay to speak up for myself because I didn't know what the outcome would be. And that's a scary place to be in, because shifting your whole life and affecting everyone around you, including your children, is a very big decision to make. And so a lot of times we slow burn that as women. We don't just wake up and say, I'm going to blow my whole life up and, take off and whatever. These are things that we have attempted in small ways to find these little shifts that will change just not even everything, but one thing One thing, show me in one aspect or one way that something could change. Because if I can see that this little thing can change, then that shows me there's movement and we can progress and over time work on these things. But when we as women don't see even the slightest little, we start acting out in different ways, and it's not always pretty. But in the end, I will say, as long as you choose yourself, no matter how hard it gets, it's always worth it because you are worth it. So that goes in a little bit different direction of, relationship topic. But as Em says, if you have to find a way to not lose yourself within the relationship, you have to. And if you can't, you have to make changes because you will drown. You will drown in it. I promise you, you will drown in it. And sometimes you do get like this little shift and you're like, oh, and then it opens up and you see all this potential again. And then that door closes, you're disappointed again. And only you can decide where you set your boundaries and when things change. But always, always, always choose yourself. Always. You are the only one that matters.
What does Jamie Bond say? You're your longest friend. You're your longest
relationship. You're your longest relationship that you will ever have. 100%. Why jeopardize that? For what? Think about those things. Because when you lack emotional intelligence, you don't ask those questions and you put yourself in positions where you sacrifice many different things about yourself. And I can tell you from experience now, we won't talk how close to 40 I am, but hear me out. It's not fucking worth it. It's not. Do you want to know who will never go through that shit? The little girl you see running behind me constantly. She will never, when I say never, I can promise you that. This girl is hot to trap. She don't play around. She don't give a flying fuck. It's almost to the opposite side where I do have to teach her a little bit about humility and, working on like the kindness aspect of our delivery. Because I went a little hard with her because I was like, absolutely, she will never do what I did, right? But then again, balance. It's about finding that balance. And so now I'm working with her to pay attention, choose yourself, don't give up yourself, but still pay attention because people matter, right? The delivery matters. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? There are these little things that we can do to strike a healthy balance of relationship. And the needle is constantly moving on what that looks like based on the society we live in when that changes, right? Like the tension in the air, the energy of the collective, but also the people that you're with. People are so vastly different. When you think about fingerprints, nobody has the same fucking fingerprint. That is what we're dealing with here. There is no one size fits all. And the only way to navigate that is to learn who you are, what your boundaries are, what you accept and what you don't accept. And then kindly, when you open your door and then you decide you're going to shut it, you don't have to burn bridges. You don't have to make a big deal. This is something that I had to learn. I made a lot of big deals. I'm a dramatic kind of girl. Let me tell you. I build big fires. And I've had to learn how to close these doors respectfully in love. It took me 30, how old am I? It doesn't matter. I had to be in my late 30s before I realized that it didn't deserve that kind of attention all the time. And that I was actually loving myself and respecting myself more by not saying anything.
Well, yeah, I think we both have gone through, obviously, our own situations, but we both went from trying to control the mess to learning how to grow through it so we can move through it and not control it anymore. Because I feel like we were both in that, in that space to where we wanted to try to control it. And we always wondered, who's on my side? Who's going to come along with me? Instead of us being the one to decide, not just wondering, you want to come along? Are you, you want to be my friend? Because obviously we've all done that as kids, but I feel like we're to the point now to where we don't have to ask that question because we're just going to see it. We just learn to grow through this, and the ones that are going to stay are going to be there through everything. We don't have to question, are you going to come along with me? Because they're going to be there regardless.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yep.
So
I concur with all of that. And
all right. Well, that was a good conversation. So let's just move into her vibe check.
Yeah.
I actually saved this. I was going to say it, but I was like, nope. This is a good way, the grand finale.
Do it.
My biggest takeaway from today and throughout the recent weeks and months is just, I am not here anymore to keep relationships comfortable. I am here to make relationships authentic.
Preach.
Ba-doom ching.
Drop the mic. Is that one we should get? Ba-doom ching.
Yeah, we need a ba-doom ching.
But beautifully said. I mean, how can you better say that? You can't. That is the core of what we're talking about. Is in relationship, you have to love you first, or you just aren't going to find the authenticity that your soul is craving, because it starts with you. So I think that's an amazing vibe check. So her vibe check, my takeaway is that silence and complacency is not sustainable. And I think that is a huge highlight moment, is besides what we talked about with you, which is choosing yourself and loving yourself first in order to give the right kind of authenticity. Part of that is not remaining silent. I think for me, growing up and in my earlier years, I stood up so profoundly for everyone except for me. Period. Always. If you ask people from high school something about me, they would be like, she is so loyal and she has everyone's back. But what they didn't know, what I hid really well, was my complacency, was the silence for me, my voice, and what I wanted and what mattered to me. And I think that a lot of people would be really shocked by that. Like, they'd be like, what are you talking about? She's like the most outspoken, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think that people really can hide that really, really well. So if you work on that awareness within yourself, you can pull that out in other people and be aware of that and let that guide certain relationships and people that you meet. Kind of like when you open the door for someone and smile at them, and then someone else who hasn't smiled all day, they smile. That to me is another form of something that you can do energetically, is like game recognizes game. Recognize that trait that you have carried before in someone else. And just by acknowledging that and giving someone a safe space to use their voice, to practice maybe, so that they can take it home and use it with their husbands or spouse or, said person, is kind of the same way, same thing, same opportunity to spread a smile.
Yeah, and just one final reminder that throwing glitter on the shit doesn't mean pretending it's not there. It just means that you're choosing growth over the shit, over the chaos.
Yeah, staying stuck.
Yeah.
Recognize it, but don't stay there.
Yeah, so, okay. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, just remember, somewhere, a lion in a Hawaiian shirt is cheering you on. Bye, everybody.
We love you. Bye.